Hi, hello, welcome to another video of mine. For today's video, I'm trying a new formula of having another person commentate and do a part of the script. For today's video, that will be NinjaOfLU. Say hi.
Hello everybody.
Okay, so now to the video. Today's video will be about slopes, or more specifically, slope speed. Slopes were first probably noticed when the game was still live, but the first person to use slopes on a speedrun route was me, Vaiski, and I'm very proud of it. Originally, the strat was for speeding up the path on top of the hill by switching the direction of motion without losing speed. That was the original strat, and back then I was only able to do it on the biggest and most noticeable slopes. Now, 4 months later, I have mastered slopes and I have gained more info on how they actually seem to work. But rather than myself explaining them, I let someone fluent in physics tell them. Take the wheel, Ninja.
In this section, I'm going to try to explain one of the greatest mysteries of the 21st century, Vaiski's love of slopes. So what's going on? At the centre of all of this, we need to understand how collisions work in LEGO Universe, and we can begin by walking straight into a wall. Don't try this at home, kids. Vaiski is a trained professional. Obviously, the developers want to be able to make walls we can't walk through. That sounds like a good idea for a game. There are loads of ways of doing that. For instance, let the player walk towards the wall and stop them the second their hitbox intersects with it. This sounds great, right? But if you stop when you intersect with it, there's no way of ever leaving the game. You'd be trapped forever. How about another solution? When you intersect with a wall, you lose all your velocity, so you don't keep moving into it, and get pushed back out of the wall to avoid the earlier problem, just the same way you came. Sounds pretty good, right? But it will still feel a little bit odd. If you so much as run your hands along the railings in the Venture Explorer, you'd be stopped instantly and wouldn't be able to start moving again until you'd rotated your camera to walk away. But it's even worse than this. We don't want players to be able to walk through the ground, right? So the ground needs collision protection too. But if you lost all velocity whenever you hit the ground, you'd be in quicksand whenever you weren't jumping. So, what about making the player bounce off the ground of the walls? This seems like a great idea. What could possibly go wrong? Until you realise what you've just invented is a bouncy castle, not ground as we're used to. In fact, LEGO Universe doesn't implement any form of bouncing on players' craft objects, because it's much harder to sort of limit where players can go when they're allowed to just get a huge bounce from jumping down from the monument. It sometimes looks like we've got bouncing, but this is in fact just an artifact of slopes. And so the game engine is left with but one choice, to turn to reality. In reality, if we hit an object and don't bounce off, then we lose all of our speed that was facing into the object. We don't lose any along its surface. And this is how LEGO Universe works. But this gives us a very, very nice little loophole whenever we want a little bit of extra speed. If we're falling and we hit a 45-degree slope beneath us, the game removes the part of our speed pointing into that ground. Let's say we are the truest of pro gamers, and we now do the utterly unthinkable. We hit space. When you jump in LEGO Universe, the game ignores wherever your vertical velocity is and sets it to some fixed value upwards in a jump, leaving your horizontal velocity completely unchanged. Doing the maths and totally ignoring friction, half your vertical speed gets converted into horizontal speed. This might not sound like much, but if you're jumping from a high place, this can shoot you forwards, and remember that by running in LEGO Universe, you can only ever reach a fixed speed. This lets you bypass that really easily. In fact, even starting from a standstill on a slope, just double jumping can give you a small amount of vertical velocity, and you can convert that into forwards motion with the slope. But finally, the last piece of slope physics before we return to your regularly scheduled programming. The developers, in their infinite cruelty to speedrunners, not only didn't want us walking through walls, but also didn't want us to be able to walk or jump up perfectly vertical walls, for some reason. And so the player interacts differently with slopes past a certain angle. Most obviously, gravity suddenly begins to take hold. If a player is on a shallower slope, whilst they're touching it, they won't be pulled down. Friction and contact with the slope are enough to counter gravity. Past this threshold, however, friction isn't enough to counter gravity, and gravity begins to pull you down, and although you still maintain the ability to control your speed to some extent, it will end up pulling you down. If a player jumps onto such a slope, they will slide, but they'll remain in the jumping state. So they can use a double jump whenever they like, if they have one left, but they won't be able to leave the jumping state to jump again until they hit flatter ground. Even ground pounding, this thing which can normally be relied upon to stop us completely, will leave you sliding if you're on a too steep a slope, until either you hit something or the game decides you've been ground pounding for long enough, making you land. This happens, interestingly, even in midair, and this moves your character out of the jump state. If you walk onto one of these slopes or onto the jump state for some other reason, see ground pounding, you will slide and be completely unable to start a new jump. Even these slopes, however, can still be used for slope speed, though, since double jumping also resets your vertical velocity. And so, as long as you jump in advance to enter the jump state, so you're able to jump off when you hit the slope, you can still use your remaining double jump, just like normal, to get slope speed. In short, landing on slopes can be manipulated to give you lots and lots of speed if you land well and have a slope in the right direction. This is why Vaisky loves them and spends so much time talking about them.
Thanks for the explanation. You can also earn slope speed from 90-degree straight edges because of the player's hitbox. If you want to know more about the player's hitbox, check out my video about it. It will be already out when this video gets uploaded, or it will be coming soon. And to finish this video off, I will tell you that if you want to start learning how to gain slope speed, I'd recommend just starting to jump on slopes. I'd recommend trying to jump on big 45-degree slopes as they are the easiest. If you want to learn slopes in a useful way, it would be probably a thing to ride the Monument Speedrun, as it has multiple slopes and it's one of the most popular speedruns, and it's a pretty good beginner speedrun if you know a little about the basics. The Monument was also the way I learned slopes. Basically, I started from Monument, got better by the Monument, then moved up to basic terrain and 90-degree angles. Yeah, I think that was everything I had to say. Yeah, let's copy the outro of NinjaOfLU, even though he's here. Subscribe to the devs, subscribe to NinjaOfLU, and of course subscribe to me. The LUSR Discord will be in the description. The music I used for this video will also be in the description. And I think that was everything. Have a good day. Bye.